The American university is filled with the tradition that is America's past, present, and future. The urban university, luxuriously filled with greenery, soft grasses, ivy, trees, wealth, power, and privileges, all green. The American urban universities feel the need to expand their green to the adjoining black communities of Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, Boston, Hartford, New Haven. The power of the university affords them the privilege of tax exemption and the use of another power, urban renewal, which aids them in their search for land to take. But in this day of question and change, even the power of the university is being challenged. Example, Columbia University, Harlem. Students joined forces with the black community of Morningside Heights to protest the disruptions and infringements on property suffered by the black community at the hands of the university. Professor Howard Mitchell is one of the leading experts on urban affairs. He teaches at the University of Pennsylvania. Black Journal asked Professor Mitchell if he thought most universities were concerned with the people and the communities they had displaced.
I know of no example of any university that has really set a precedent yet of entering into the kind of dialogue that I think would reflect a real collaborative kind of relationship. I think our youth in our universities, and as most lately was demonstrated by some students at Columbia and the whole situation at Morningside Heights, are saying that as representatives of a university, if no one else takes the leadership at administrative faculty level, they are going to be the conscience of the institution and remind it for that, and of course a lot of other reasons in the Columbia situation, that it is a new ballgame, that universities cannot act in this way with the community as they have in the past.
In Philadelphia, 50,000 people, mostly black, have been moved, uprooted, and displaced. Families and friends broken up. Neighborhoods which once lived are now ghost towns. Mrs. Eloise Holmes thought urban renewal meant the tearing down of slums, so she and her neighbors repaired their homes and the homes of absentee landlords. They painted and scrubbed, swept and repaired their neighborhood. For this, they received the Clean Block Award from the city, and then the university expansion program swept them away.
Leading men, I said to him, why can't you expand straight up Broad Street? Why do you have to take the homes of people who have suffered, struggled, and believe me, when you buy a home in this city and finish paying for it, you have gone through something. Now we are at the age where we want to settle down and live, thinking that we have made a wise investment. So you say it's slums. Who calls them? The absentee landlords. Because they take everything out of the community and put nothing back. We were asked to leave in March. March 31st was the deadline. The house is still standing. They're boarded up, and it's right there on 1942 North Marvine Street. And it probably will be there a long time. These boarded houses is creating quite a nuisance in that area. There have been rapes, and wives have been dragged going to stores in those old vacant houses and molested.
The life is being just drained out by eminent domain, by urban renewal.
As Professor Mitchell put it, it's a new ball game with different players on the opposing team. These teams were formed because the poor had few privileges and no power, and it's becoming obvious, few rights to ownership. These new players were drafted on the team by their emotions because they had seen the ever-growing numbers of their brothers and sisters displaced and unassisted.
To the fellas, I like to talk about the people, and that's who I work with. I work with the people who are removed by urban renewal. I have walked with these people from day to day. It is one of the most horrible experiences. You see children who don't know where they're going, who says, why is the bulldozer tearing down my house? I kind of like my house, even if it isn't the best house. It is a community. You see people saying, I identify with this community. My friends are next door. My neighbors are down the street. I know these people, have known them for 30 years. These are some of the things that hurt with urban renewal, living with people from day to day.
I think that historically we have to charge genocide of black people, genocide against black people by a white corporate structure in America, in that they are using all kinds of ways to diminish the black people of America.
Because we have come down to a situation right now of just strictly survival within the black community.
I think that we have to realize that we can't talk in terms of university expansion in a vacuum, that there are people who we can identify as being our enemy. Drexel, University of Temple, the University, Pennsylvania, the housing urban development, the insurance and mortgage companies, the Board of Education, which takes eminent domain over so many of the black homes, the water company, the Chamber of Commerce, real estate people, and mental health centers throughout the city of Philadelphia. All of them together, are developing a collusion for the political decentralization of black people, to force us out of the land, to gerrymander us in such a way that we lose our strength, that they are really in opposition to the unification, the unity of black people. And once they do that, once they have grabbed off the land, and once they have forced us into the reservations or projects as they've done the Indian people, then it means that we will no longer have the kind of power which so many of us call for. And I think that this is a national conspiracy, and if we check this thing out very carefully, we'll see that black people are suffering from those same kinds of problems in other cities.
To many, the remarks that have been made by these black people may seem extreme, but they are supported by statistics from a survey made in Philadelphia for the University of Pennsylvania. 20% of the displaced families had not been contacted by Urban Renewal or the university except when served an eviction notice. Neither had they received moving expenses to which by law they were entitled. 30% had received moving expenses but received no help in relocation or financing to which they were also entitled. 30% of the people had been seen and interviewed by Urban Renewal officials but were not relocated by the city and were forced to relocate on their own. Only 20% had received help and all of the benefits to which they were entitled. On the basis of this information, Black Journal went on to Chicago to talk with Professor Julian Levy, one of the leading planners of the University of Chicago's massive expansion programs.
Now, the expansion which universities take in urban centers very often is accompanied by the urban renewal process. Because universities are so rooted, and because by and large the American city has been unable to control its cycles of growth and change, the university in many, many places in the country tends to be now cheek by jowl with the deprived community, often the black community. And many universities might be willing to move if there were a way in which they could actually dispose of their existing plant, which they can't. There isn't much of a market for second-hand universities. And if they were to move, they could never replace the investment which they have.
But does the university take into consideration both the financial and moral costs it causes the black community?
Well, these people who are moving have priority to move into the apartments which are now being built. Now, there's another part that you have
the apartments, that's very interesting. Were all of these apartments built before the university started to expand so that these people could be moved out of their homes and immediately moved into these
That's projects? The precise way this thing is being planned and carried out. One of the ways in which you judge the effectiveness of a relocation program is whether you lose people in the process. In other words, whether people move and you don't know where they move. These programs have had less than a 2% slippage that way.
The woman who lives in this apartment, if you can call it that, is some of the slippage Professor Levy referred to. She requested that her face not be shown because she was afraid of reprisals from Urban Renewal and the University of Chicago.
The university haven't did nothing for me. Nobody have did nothing for me, not even the Urban Renewal. They fooled me. They say when I move, they're gonna give me $500 for moving, plus they were gonna pay my moving expenses. And I don't know about the moving expenses, but they haven't gave me nothing. Everything they doing, they taking everything from me. I'm living here, don't have no kind of protection. Before I moved here, the man broke in and strangled a girl in here. And I knew that, but I don't know why I let the Urban New move me in here. The rooms have lock on them, but the locks are not very good. You can take a hard push and push the locks off. But the windows don't have no lock. They have locks on, but the locks don't work. So every window in here, I have a bolt, a stick, or something across it. And the back porch don't have a lock on it at all. It got a stick on the knob. And last Saturday, the man came in. I don't know how he came in, but ever since I've been living here, I had to lock up in one room, me and my kids. So if I want to sit up late at night, watch television, I had to take a television in one room and lock myself up in there. Anything my kids want, like through the night, get hungry, I had to get that before I go to bed. Bring everything in the room, water, food, baby milk, the diapers, anything that my kids need, and me too. Because I'd be too scared to cross the hall in this house, because people been breaking in, and they told me they're gonna find me another place to go when I was ready to, when I had to get out, and they never did.
The people you have just seen are but a few examples. According to recent statistics, there are 3,000 in Chicago, 5,000 in New York, and 60,000 in Philadelphia, and the list goes on. And as the numbers continue, there is another growing number. The number of people that are asking the question, is this urban renewal or black removal?